You know the story of Musa splitting the sea and Pharaoh drawing. But the question now is what happened after that? Where did they go? And why they didn't return back to Egypt? Was their journey through the desert just for a temporary escape, or it's something deeper, something divine? This is the story of 40 years wandering, the divine punishment, and the new generation. So first, where did they go after splitting the sea? After Pharaoh and his army drawing, Musa and the Israelis kept walking. They entered the Sinai desert. It is vast land between Egypt and Palestine. But they didn't stay there for a few days. They stayed there for 40 years. And why? Because God didn't bring them out to return to Egypt. He brought them out to go to the land He promised, Canaan, which is today Palestine and some piece of Jordan and South Lebanon. Last video I mentioned this as Assyria, but it was wrong. It is South Lebanon. But this promised when they reached to the borders, they refused to enter. But why they refused to enter? Despite all the miracles they witnessed, they complained. They asked Musa for many things, to change the food, and said to him to ask from God to give to them more and more. Some even say, make a God for us. Some of them ask for onions and lentils instead of heavenly food. And when Musa told them, enter the land that God has written for you, they just said, there are giants there. We will not go until they are inside. So of course God punished them. It is forbidden to them 40 years. They will wander in the land. And the generations that left Egypt died in the desert. They were not allowed to enter the promised land. The old generation, weak in faith, raised in slavery, and died in the desert. Even Musa and Aaron passed away during wandering, but a new generation was born. They were raised in the desert, tough, free, and faithful. They were led by new prophet Yusha, the student of Musa, and he was the one who led them into Canaan. But they didn't walk into empty land. They fight for it, and they won because they were ready spiritually, not just military. This land was by powerful nations, but God support Yusha, just like He support Musa. And in one of their great battles, a miracle happened. The Prophet Muhammad say in this, the sun was delayed for Yusha, so he could complete the conquest before the sunset. So the sun paused for a moment, so they could claim the victory. But why God command them to enter Canaan? Why not they just stay in desert? It is peaceful, right? God doesn't command for no reason. There was always wisdom. Canaan was corrupt. The people there worship idols. Some even sacrificed their children. This land was need to be justice. And number two, the Israelis need to evolve from slaves to leaders. This desert just trained them to be responsibility, not just survive. And number three, the desert is not a destiny, no civilization, no structure. It was a test, not a home. They had to build, fight, and rise a new nation, not just wanderers. But why they didn't go back to Egypt? Because Egypt is not their land. They entered there as a refugees and turned to slaves and left by God command. There was no order to return, no going back to the land of humiliation. Egypt was their prison. Canaan was their test. So the real lesson, the 40 years of wandering, wasn't just a punishment. It was a process to clean their heart, to remove the chains of slavery, and to prepare the new generation ready to lead with faith